Whoop whoop! BMX frames, geometry, mathematics, what's cracking? We out here, we outside. I forgot how to intro a video because we haven't done this in a while. We inside. Today we're talking about something important, something very, very, very important. This will impact your BMX riding more than anything else, except for your personal health. Take good care of yourself. Today we're talking about frame geometry. So I got a couple different samples of a couple different styles of bicycle frames for different types of maneuvering. All right, so we got a couple different styles in here. We got the trails, we got the park, we got the race, we got the tech street, and then we got the best all-around kind of street style, freestyle, freak style bicycle. So first thing I need to do is pull up the geometry on what this frame. All right, so here we got the S&M CCR Clint Reynolds Trail Monster. So to start off with this thing, we're gonna go with one of the most important factors of the geometry on your frame and how it affects you, and that's gonna be the top tube length. So depending on how tall you are, you're gonna wanna choose a variable top tube length. I don't have the heights to lengths memorized, but if you are my height or taller, this frame is just for you. This is a 21.5-inch top tube, meaning you got lots of leg room, a little more stability at high speeds, a little less likely to bang your knee up on the stem. Yeah, longer wheelbase means more stability, and more stability means more better. I guess the next big piece of geometry is going to be the chainstay. That's how you manual. That also has to do with how much stability you've got, the responsiveness of your frame. This particular one is a 13.9, so not too responsive. It's a little bit on the longer side by today's standards, but it's going to be great for ripping the trails super fast, being able to control your pop, and it's going to help you out with looping out on those manuals. You're going to do that a little less because boy, it's long. That joint is long. So for the viewers at home, top tube length once again, gonna be this one. This is the top tube. Chainstay length is from the center of your bottom bracket here to the dropout. So most frame descriptions will say 13.9 slammed to like 14.25 or something. So this is slammed, this is not slammed. Little technology for you. Head tube angle. This is another important one. Not as important as I would say the top tube, but this will definitely factor into how easy your style of riding will be. So on this particular trails frame, this is a 74.25 degree head tube angle. So that's gonna be a little more slack. Once again, if you're probably noticing a trend with this, everything's a little more slack, a little bit longer. It just helps for stability. Your forks aren't as steep, so you're gonna be cruising, going fast, and you're gonna be nice and relaxed because those bars are gonna be angled back towards you. Yeah, man, it's chill. It's laid back. I'm not good at talking about numbers. Standover height. This one was the topic of discussion when we were talking about filming this video because nobody knew what it meant. But it turns out it's actually just the seat tube length. So the seat tube length on this one is gonna be 9 inches. This one's a 9. There's really only one key point of the geometry left, and that's gonna be our bottom bracket height. So this particular one is an 11.6. That means that when your bike is fully assembled, your bottom bracket will sit 11.6 inches from the ground. That's pretty average by today's standards. 11.6 to 11 is kind of the general number that everybody goes with for bottom bracket height. And all those different specs put together make this beautiful trail speed stable machine for BMX riding on the dirt jumps. I said the standover is 9 inches. I don't know what that means, but it means something. What does that affect anything? Yeah, that's pretty much all I said, I guess. Exactly. So what Chad said, standover only pretty much has to do with tail whips, maybe a can-can or a no-footed can-can. And we'll get onto that in the next frame. Next piece of machinery we got here, this is gonna be the Sunday Park Ranger in Cyan Rain. So as you can tell from the name, this frame is gonna be built a little bit more for the park savvy rider. Double tail whips, triple back flips, 4 bar spins in a row. And it comes with beautiful removable brake hardware. On this particular frame, we're gonna try to go in the same order, but I didn't write the order down or anything, so we might jump around here and there. But we're gonna start with the top tube. So this particular fella is a 20.5 inch top tube. For the park side of things, I'm sure you do want a smaller bike overall. Kind of keeps down the rotational weight for your doubled and triple tail whips. So 20.5 is gonna be for a fella or gal of shorter stature. Yeah, I'd say like 5'6" or so, you're probably gonna want a 20.5 if you're riding park or street. Onto the chainstay, which is once again center of the bottom bracket to the end of your dropout. The chainstay on this one is gonna be nice and twitchy and responsive, sitting at a mean 12.7. So that's gonna be a lot more twitchy than our trails frame. All the better for getting pop more. I have to poop before we continue this. Whoop, whoop. Welcome back and feeling relieved. Back to the Sunday Park Ranger. We were on the chainstay here last time we spoke. This is a 12.7 slam chainstay. So once again, slammed is from the center of the bottom bracket to the very front of the dropout. Very responsive. You'll find similar rear ends on most modern street frames. So it shortens the wheelbase a little bit overall, and your spins a little bit easier overall. So there you go, that's why they do that. If you remember on the CCR, the head tube angle was a 74.25. This is a whole degree further forward. So this is a 75.25. It's gonna be a little more responsive. Your bars are gonna be more straight up and down, putting them on a straighter axis for bar spins and tail whips, thus making them slightly easier. Slight disclaimer, just because you get a steeper head tube does not mean you will be able to bar spin. So this is really the only part where it starts to matter, is when you go for more of the park geometry, you want a lower standover. So this particular standover is going to be a 7.625. It's way shorter than everything else. This just brings your top tube down. Finally, we have the bottom bracket height, which is gonna be 11.625, so just about the same as the trails frame, a little bit higher off the ground. And like I said, that's pretty much the industry standard nowadays, is around an 11, 11 and a half. Race frame. So this is going to be the most dramatically different geometry-wise from everything else. It's going to be most similar to the trails frame, but still pretty different. Allow me to refer to my BMX information database here. This is a standard 125R race frame. It's gonna be super relaxed. First measurement on this standard 125R is gonna be the top tube. So this is a 22-inch top tube. Hey, Curtis, welcome back, man. You wanna tell the people about this frame, or do you want me to keep talking like a dummy?
Fuck this guy, let me tell you what's what. This frame's real nice, it's blue, that's about all you need to know. Go fuck yourselves.
All right, cool, so that was all we needed to know for the standards, so I guess we're gonna put this one back over there and you can find out the geometry for yourself on www.powersbmx.com/products/race/frames and complete/standard 125R. Anyways, so this is a 22-inch top tube. Typically for a race frame, you would want a longer top tube than a street frame, just for the longer wheelbase, a lot more stable. If you're a racer, you probably already know what size you need, so I'm not gonna go too deep into that. So the chainstay on this is gonna be a 14 slammed. So I'm sure you'll think back and go, huh, that Creedence frame was pretty similar. Couldn't I use that for racing? No, you actually probably could, but people would look at you kind of funny. That's for stable speed containment. What the fuck? Next up, we're gonna go for the head tube angle, which actually, believe it or not, is steeper than the CCR frame. So this is a 74.5, not the craziest difference. For additional information on what this angle means, please revert back to the CCR section of the video. The standover is 8.25. No, you're probably not tail whipping this Johnny anyways. And the bottom bracket height is 11.625, the exact same as the Park Ranger. So I guess if you're interested in riding trails, get yourself a standard 125R, because this geometry is a lot more reasonable than the CCR. Why is this geometry better than a CCR? Pretty much the extreme opposite of the frame we just discussed, that 125R. This is a Fit Bike Co. shortcut frame. So this is gonna be our modern, street, twitchy, responsive boy. So this particular guy, where are my twitchy, responsive boys at? Holla at me. This is a 20.75 inch top tube, made for the average height fella, 5'8 to 5'10 I would say, onto the defining feature of the Fit shortcut, the rear end length. So this chainstay is one of the shortest you can find on the market, sitting at a unhealthy 12.4. Very short, very responsive, quite frankly ridiculous, but I know some of you boys out there love it. It's gonna feel good for your fakie hops, your full cabs, your hop 540s. Probably not so good for your manuals. The standover on this bad boy, 8.75, so reasonably tall. Not ideal for the double whips, but I'm sure you can still make them happen, such as Boyd Hilder does. He doesn't ride this frame, but he rides one with very similar geometry. Head tube angle, this is one of our most progressive geometry things yet, so this is starting to come up a lot more in the BMX world, is the 75.5 head tube angle. We're starting to pitch them forward. Better for nose manuals, bar spins, tail whips, already said all that. Bottom bracket height, this guy is going to be an 11.7, so it's a little bit taller for your grind clearance, i.e. double pegs on your grind side, your crooked grinds, your duster grinds, your bottom bracket slides, your crank arms, all that good stuff. Yeah, that's a Fit shortcut frame. Latinate does not like this frame, certified. Here we got the Colt Chase D-Hard back check frame, the holy grail of BMX modernity. So this is the most all-around, controllable, not as responsive, but it's still got the responsiveness in the right areas type joint. So let's get it started. This is a 20.75 inch top tube. On this bad boy, we're gonna have a 13.25 chainstay. So it's a good balance of responsive and controllable. Personally, for a taller fella like myself or lady, the taller being would probably like something that's a little bit longer so they can get a little more stability out of their frame. A 12.4 is just not gonna cut it for us tall beings. It's got an 11.7 bottom bracket height, so it's gonna be similar to that Fit shortcut. It's a little more raised up for that grind clearance, all those beautiful, wonderful grinds you heard me talking about previously. Double pegs on your grind side, your crooked grinds, your duster grinds, your bottom bracket slides, your crank arms. An 8.75 standover, so it's a bit lower than your average street frame, but I'm actually pretty sure that's exactly the same as the mixtape. And then the head tube angle on this is a 75.5. It's nice and steep. See ya. I am good at being on